psychic layer below that. So it's sort of a mirror. I was called in one time to work with a really cool border collie. I'd helped place him in this home and knew he'd been happy there for, 6 months, 8 months. I'd worked with this couple before. And they phoned me with the disturbing news that suddenly this border collie, his name is Jack, who is a working dog, he was chasing their paddle fan. So imagine he's in their living room with his head staring straight up to the ceiling with a coffee table, circling the coffee table as fast as he can go, staring up at the paddle fan. And he did it for, if you didn't turn off the paddle fan, he would do it for hours. And he was suffering a lot of lameness from doing that because he was getting his body all crooked from running in tight little cramped circles all the time. So they were really distressed because they thought he didn't do that for the first few months, and all of a sudden they kind of couldn't stop this sort of obsessive behavior. So I tuned into Jack, and we started to talk about how he was feeling, and, he had a lot of extra energy. He's a working dog, so his job, if he were out on a farm, would be to chase sheep all day. So part of his trouble was there wasn't enough to do physically. He needed more exercise, and they weren't wearing him out enough because they aren't home much. But they were taking him on a long walk every day, but it wasn't like chasing sheep for 8 hours or 12 hours. So he was inventing something to sort of tire himself out. So we discussed how maybe Jack needed to get more exercise. And there was another layer, though. Jack also said that his stomach hurt all the time and that it burned and that he was panting a lot. And they had noted he was panting. Later on, a veterinarian confirmed that he had some gastric ulcers. So we got talking about how his stomach was hurting, and he was a little bored because he's a working dog, so he needs more action. And she said, well, I feel so guilty because we both have such demanding jobs and demanding careers. We do all we can to make Jack happy, but we're like ships in the night. We're all passing in and out. We seldom sit down together. And it was interesting because Jack said to me, they're all so busy, so I need to be too. So Jack was imitating the energy of the home, kind of a frantic house almost. Everybody's in and out, running around. And he thought, well, I got to run around too. I'm going to join them. So because he's a border collie who likes to chase things, he started chasing the one moving object that he always knew would be moving, the fan. So these successful people really needed to re-examine their lives and look at, would they be happier if they relaxed together more or had less to do outside of the home? She had been contemplating, we had quite a good conversation about it, she'd been contemplating cutting back on her hours or even changing jobs because she felt that she was getting separate from her loved one, her husband and her dog even. So Jack was a great mirror there where he showed them what it looks like when you start to sort of chase things just for the sake of chasing things rather than there being a purpose to it. And that's just how she felt. She felt like she was almost chasing money and job accolades. Really, she'd already proven herself many times over. Did she need to keep chasing it? So it becomes kind of a metaphor to look at your own life, which can be really kind of cool to look at things that way and very interesting. So each problem, if you want to call it a problem, with your animal, each signal is actually an opportunity for self-reflection. It's an opportunity to look within yourself a little deeper and ask yourself, well, is this working for me, how I'm doing my life? Or is it actually needing some amendments? So in this case, of course, Jack needed some medicine for his stomach. A veterinarian took care of that, I later learned, and he did stop chasing the paddle fan the day after we spoke about it. And that's another topic that I want to discuss a little bit later on about why is it that animals change once we talk to them about it, because that often happens in my work. Of course, I can't guarantee if you call and say, here's the trouble, could you help us figure it out and perhaps even fix it? But your intention that you would like the animal to be happier coupled with my intention that we're going to figure this out, the animal usually jumps right on board and says, yes, okay, I didn't see it that way. That's a good idea. And they often change, which is just a marvel when you think about it. Like, why would they care what we think other than they care about you? So, I mean, how many relationships do you have in your life where you mention to someone, you make me uncomfortable doing this, or I wish you wouldn't do that, and they say, okay, I'm never going to do it again, and they don't. But that's pretty much what Jack did. He just stopped doing it that day. It was pretty amazing to all of us that he was so willing to compromise and so willing to say, yes, I'm on, I'll do that, perfect. And so he stopped chasing it, and they got him more comfortable. They eventually actually moved and resettled their lives entirely differently years later. That became true. So they used Jack's information very wisely, and sometimes we need to learn to notice that we're just coping with life. We're carrying on. We're doing the same thing we do every day, each day, and we might notice a little nudge of unhappiness, or we might not. We might just go, well, I'm a diligent person, I'm responsible, I have bills to pay, I go to work. But are we in the right job? Are you in the right career? Are you as happy as you could be? Or are you just in maybe making a diligent attempt to continue to do something that really isn't your best happiness? And if you're not doing your best happiness, the energy within your home will start to become infused with a disquiet or an anger. Energy of emotions actually sticks in homes, and pets walk around in your home all day long, and they start to really understand you better, where you're coming from, what's happening. And we're going to discuss this a little bit more in our next segment. And thank you so much for joining me. This is Laura Rowley, and you're listening to Animal Connections with Laura Rowley on syndicated Dream Vision 7 radio network.
Animal Connections with Laura Rowley is an intuitive show created for you to learn what it's like to talk to animals. Laura shares 20 years of experiences of being a pet psychic and healer every Friday at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, media partner for the Omega Institute. Our beloved animals share our lives and have amazing insights into our well-being, providing us with opportunities for personal growth once we truly begin to listen. It's fun to use animal wisdom to enhance our emotional and spiritual world. Who better than our furry friends to teach us the wisdom born of unconditional love?
Omega Institute, offering workshops, retreats, and online learning dedicated to awakening the best in the human spirit. With a 40-year track record, pioneering holistic studies, and helping more than 1 million people find a deeper sense of purpose, Omega is known the world over as a trusted source for an integrated approach to personal growth and social change. Located in Rhinebeck, New York, just 90 miles north of New York City, Omega's natural environment and quiet pace allow for extraordinary experiences to unfold. Learn more at eomega.org.
If you're living with fear and stress in your life, there is an answer.
If you're ready for a better way, step through The Doorway.
The Doorway is a multimedia online course for transcending fear, transforming relationships, accessing inner guidance, and experiencing more inspiration and trust in your life.
To learn more about these online courses based on the teachings of A Course in Miracles and David Hoffmeister, go to acimcourses.com.
Quantum Jumps presents a radical new paradigm that we exist in an interconnected holographic multiverse in which we literally jump from one parallel universe to another. In a moment, you can become smarter, more confident, happier, more outgoing, more effective, in better relationships with more willpower. When you sense a new connection to another possible you, living the life you prefer, immerse yourself naturally into that new state of being. And voila, you've made a quantum jump. Supported by scientific research, Quantum Jumps is an inspirational book backed with practical tools to help you live a happier, more prosperous life. Learn more at quantumjumps.com.
What if your dog, cat, or horse could help you with your love life? What would they suggest? It's fun to think about and a wonderful way to conduct yourself. After all, animals know well how to love and invite us to love them unconditionally. That's a pretty great way to live life. Animals always communicate with our highest good as their central focus, even when sometimes we feel stymied or frustrated with their behavior. Visit LauraRowleyHealer.com to book a workshop or private long-distance phone reading. Laura's readings and workshops help you find the part of you that's able to tune in and connect to your amazing animals. Laura Rowley believes we can all understand by listening differently. Book a workshop or private long-distance phone reading now by going to LauraRowleyHealer.com. That's LauraRowley Healer.com.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
Welcome back. This is Laura Rowley, and you're listening to Animal Connections with Laura Rowley on syndicated Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. Every Friday at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern Time, you can listen online or on your mobile devices. To learn more or for a full schedule, go to dreamvision7radio.com. Dream Vision 7 Radio Network is the media partner for Omega Institute. So today, we're in the midst of a discussion of animals and how they can help us see our best happiness. So sometimes seeing our best happiness might mean noticing our unhappiness. So nobody really likes to do that because it seems like you're focusing on the negative, and we're not supposed to do that. We're supposed to have a positive outlook. But if we don't notice what's wrong, we also can't fix it. So it might be helpful to glance, if you will, at the negative so that you can say to yourself, that isn't it. I don't like that part of my life. It's just one piece. I don't have to throw myself over the cliff over it. I could just maybe edit this one piece. And when I do that, the rest of the pieces of my life will get put together in a different way maybe. So noticing what isn't working helps you say to yourself, maybe I just need to make some changes. Now, I think most people hate the idea of making changes. I know I do. But if you notice that your state isn't so great, if you make a change, you can always make it back if it doesn't work for you. But if we stay stuck, and trust me, I've been stuck in my life, so I know what that is. We are in a rut thinking, I'm so unhappy. What am I going to do about this? I don't know. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. I mean, that doesn't make sense. But if we say, I'm going to look at my life a little differently and find one piece that needs to come apart and fix it, and I'm going to look at how my animals are telling me it all seems. Are they all healthy? Are they all happy? If they're not, maybe they're telling me a little bit about how I can remodel something. One of the things that happens when we're not sure what's wrong, like there's no obvious cause for our distress other than something's not quite right. That basically, as far as I'm concerned, boils down to feeling anxious. And anxiety, I think, is a problem that is pretty pervasive, and a lot of people deal with it all the time. I mean, I in the work I do with people, I work with people and animals because I work with them together. So a lot of people end up talking a lot about feeling anxious about perhaps their lives, but they're not really sure even what to do about that. And that's a disturbing feeling, because it's one thing to know what's wrong and say, okay, I've got troubles at work, I've got to fix my job or my approach to my job or my education so I can get a different job. But if you just don't know what's bothering you, that's a really perplexing situation. So what can happen, I've noticed, is that we start to look for what's wrong. We start to look almost for trouble, like, what's wrong? And our brains almost make up stuff to be upset about. You know, you just know you're upset, so you might, I don't know, pick a little fight with somebody at the office over something silly just because you wanted to feel in control. Or